Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we are looking at the Miléneal Prestige Ocean Blue. Now this is the quartz model. They're actually working on releasing an automatic model very soon, which is pretty exciting, but first obviously let's check out what they already have out there. So this is the quartz model. $95 is the RRP, which in my opinion is actually pretty decent price. That equates to around 75 GBP. And as you can see, it is a very nice looking smart dress watch, especially when you consider, the general looks of the case. It's not your usual kind of standard cheap quartz dress watch by any means at all. Another thing we're going to look at as well is the Milanese mesh strap that is an added option, but that's only $20, believe it or not, that mesh strap. So we'll look at that in a bit. So let's strap this on and have a look at it in further detail. So first of all, the specs: 40mm diameter, a lug-to-lug length of 47mm, and a rather slender height of 11.25mm. So on the wrist, I've got about a 7¼ inch wrist for reference. Really nice size, lovely shape as well. No complaints whatsoever. Really highly domed crystal as well, but we'll discuss that a little bit later on. Very, very vintage inspired. Looks great and fits nicely under a cuff as well, with a shirt or with a suit. So I think from a design perspective, they've done a really great job. It's worth keeping in mind, $95, you don't get too much watch for $95 nowadays. So this is a really nice, cheap alternative out there for, those kind of dress watch options. Water resistance is 5 atmospheres or 50 meters, so just don't get it wet. It has a little bit of protection, water resistance protection there, but I wouldn't trust it underwater. The movement is actually a Ronda as well, which is a Swiss-made quartz movement, a Ronda 705. So that's a nice little unexpected plus, having a fairly decent movement behind the scenes. Yes, it is quartz, and some people will just naturally not be too pleased about that. However, if you're going to have quartz, you might as well have a decent quartz behind it. So a Ronda 705 and a watch costing under $100 is a big tick in my eyes. 20mm lug width, so perfect width strap. It suits the 40mm diameter nicely, and you can find a wealth of straps that will fit this if you wanted to replace it. Finally, 2-year warranty as well, so if anything does go wrong, you do have a decent amount of time to get it sorted. One final spec is the crystal is sapphire coated K1 mineral. Now some people might be upset, it's not fully sapphire, and yes, that will be a bit of a deciding factor for many. However, for a watch costing under $100, I don't think it should be, the final deciding factor. So I think in this, in reality, sapphire coated K1 mineral crystal on this watch is perfectly sufficient. So that concludes the specs. Let's take it off and have a look at the watch in closer detail. Starting off with the dial then. So this is the Ocean Blue version, and you can see what a beautiful, beautiful blue it is. You can see we have this very, very delicious sunray finish as well. Galvanized kind of steel backdrop to it. Catches the light so well. The Miléneal logo is very gently printed on top in a subtle way, which I actually think is good. Just simple black text on the blue. It doesn't, it's not shouting. It's subtle and it's elegant and it's pretty classy as well. So I think the colour is really beautiful. On the outer edge as well, it goes a lot darker. So that really does provide a beautiful, draws you right to the centre. And then the applied elements and the hands are all fully polished as well, so they pick up the light nicely, and it just works so well together. One thing I am going to mention about the crystal is that it is rather reflective. That's the only downside, really. It is domed, which looks really cool, and it works nicely, when you're just viewing the dial in general. However, you can see here it does get a fair bit of reflections. Now, in day-to-day life, that's not necessarily a massive issue, but when I'm trying to take video and taking pictures of it, it is a bit of a pain in the backside because it does just reflect quite a lot. However, it's still legible, so let me just put that to rest. It's still easy to read when you are using it day to day. So we have a cheeky little date wheel as well at 3. So if I just change the time. And one nice thing with the date wheel is that it is black, and it's sort of it has a very slight beveled edge to it as well. And because it's a black date wheel, it looks so much better than a white date wheel would, because it is almost merging into this black outer edge. Certainly like an ocean blue, the way it's a vivid blue but then goes into a dark blue the deeper you go. So I really appreciate the thought that's gone into the naming convention, not only but also the colouring of the dial itself. The hands, very nice, classy Dauphine hands with a pitch to them as well. We'll look at these in closer detail with the macro lens on in a bit anyway. And then finally the applied hour markers, nice and thick, and polished so they reflect the light well, and just draw the eye really nicely. But we'll look at them in closer detail with the macro lens on. Moving on to the case then. So I mentioned the crystal already. So the case itself, I really like the shape of the case. I think it works really, really nicely. It has a very curvaceous kind of side profile to it. It actually wears a little bit smaller than the 40mm diameter as well, because the actual segment that touches your wrist, the case back, is a lot smaller, as you can see, than the actual diameter of the watch itself. But it's also really nice to see an array of finishes. So we have a bezel which is polished, and then we have a brushed main section of the case. So this side bit is brushed, top of the lugs are brushed as well. Flipping it over, then it's fully polished on the underside and a polished case back as well. So we'd have a really nice array of reflections, and it's all really, really well manufactured as well. No obvious concerns there. If I just give the case back a very quick wipe, you see the fairly straightforward case back with just Miléneal and a little bit of the Prestige series and some specs. That's all very lightly engraved, so nothing too crazy about that, but it's nice and classy. And then moving on to the crown, so it's a push-pull crown, has the Miléneal logo very lightly embossed on the end of there. Maybe that could be a little bit nicer. It's easy to use though, and I do like the shape as well, sort of like a half onion, but with really nice grip. Again, very vintage inspired, easy to use, and it looks really great as well. Moving on to the strap then. So this is the brown leather strap that I chose. Nice alligator kind of stamp to it, supple enough, comfortable enough, and then we have the Miléneal logo engraved on the tang buckle as well. The tang buckle is fully brushed, so that will actually be pretty good and resilient against scratches. Looks nice on as well. I think the brown suits the blue really nicely, as you can see there. But then on top of that, we obviously have the Milanese Strap as well. So if you were to opt for the Milanese Strap, it comes in this pretty nice case. I've sized it so this doesn't quite fit as it should. Usually that bit will be within this recess here. However, if I just take this out, we'll have a look at how easy it is to replace. So as is, most straps are loaded with quick release pins now. So I'll just literally pull this little pin that will release the strap. And then I can very easily fit the Milanese strap in like so. That's the bottom section done. And then the top section just goes in like so. So there we have it. Now we have our watch on a Milanese strap, and I actually think it completely changes the way the watch looks. I actually prefer it on the Milanese strap. And the price of it, $20 or about £17. Really, really impressive. It's beautifully made. Has the Miléneal logo engraved on the top bar as well. But as you can see, it's just really nice. It's lovely and comfortable on, and it complements the watch so nicely. I think the lighter steel really brings out the blue even more. So I think if it was me, I would choose to keep it on the Milanese strap. So that's a lovely little addition that they've that they've thrown in here for just a pretty crazy $20. All the links are pretty nicely put together. It's very, very supple as well, so it's a sure, comfortable job. And obviously it has the quick release pins as we've already looked at. Okay, so let's get the macro lens on then and have a look at this watch in even closer detail. Okay, so starting off with the dial then, you can see here we have the Miléneal logo printed in black ink on top of the nice blue backdrop. And if we just come down to the date window, you can see there the beveled edge to the date and the wheel itself, and you just get this beautiful sunburst effect on the dial there. You can see on the hands, you can see we have this pitch, again fully polished. Second hand is a pretty standard, just straight up point. But again, you can see the hour hand there, reflecting everything nicely. No tooling marks to mention either. So moving on to the hour markers. Get that in focus, here we go. Nice shape to it, as you can see there, sort of like angled edge either side. And if I can get it sideways, I mean, this is an example of the crystal being a bit of a tricky one to photograph. You can see there the depth is quite nice as well, but the reflection of the crystal is stopping me from getting a decent shot of that. So yeah, the dial in question, even up close, looks pretty good. I think I have noticed one or two tiny flecks of dust underneath the crystal. However, it is a watch costing $95, so we can't expect too much now, can we? Moving on to the case itself, give that a quick wipe. You can see our polished bezel, and then moving on to our brushed case. If we flip it onto this side without the crown, you can see there the brushing is all pretty nice and nicely done. And then moving it over to this side with the crown, there's a Miléneal logo. If I just rotate it, so you can see there, yeah, it is embossed, but it's a little bit on the light side. That would have been nicer if it was a little bit better. However, as you can see on the grip's really lovely and really nice to use as well. Then just flipping it over, have a quick look at the case back. So there's the Miléneal logo, the Prestige series engraved nice and deeply on the back. Swiss movement in this outer section as well, very nicely done, nice and deep. And then moving on to the Milanese mesh bracelet, look at all these links, very nicely done. Moving on to the side look, no complaints there. For the price, it's a really nice Milanese bracelet, and the Miléneal logo, that's very lightly engraved. That would have been nice if it was a little bit better, but we can't win everything. And then finally, just looking at the strap. So here we have the alligator print work, and finally have a look at the tang buckle as well. So the Miléneal logo on here is a little bit thicker, a bit deeper, which is a bit nicer to see. All right, okay. So for $95, around £75, I'm struggling to knock it, to be honest. This Miléneal Prestige Ocean Blue is a really smart, nice looking watch that's well built for the price. In particular, on the Milanese mesh bracelet for an extra $20, you're looking at a really smart looking watch. Yes, the crystal is only sapphire coated K1 mineral. In my eyes, that's not an issue. I can look past that. Yes, it is a little bit reflective as well, but again, there's certain things about watches under $100. You can't have everything. There's some things that have got to give. So I think in this instance, it's, what they've done is made a really lovely looking watch that is really well put together, and I love the colour of the dial. I think it's absolutely sensational, and that sunray, sunburst feel to it makes it look really, really luxurious. And obviously it's not, you know, it's under $100, but the design of it and the way, the fit and finish of the case is just really good as well. You know, it's a really great, solid, cheap, vintage inspired classic watch. And I think if you're after a watch like this and have a limited budget, then this is definitely one that should catch your eye and you know, be on your shortlist basically. So this was the Miléneal Prestige Ocean Blue. Thanks for watching, guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment your thoughts as well. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.